here, and I'm preparing to make some beef stew. I hope this finds you all well wherever you are in the world. It's a beautiful sunny day. Our temps are starting to creep back up, and we're supposed to hit the 90s by the weekend. But either way, for me, beef stew really is synonymous with the fall or autumn temperatures coming in. This is my own recipe for beef stew. I kind of made adjustments. I've made so many different versions over the years, but it's just hearty, and also the ingredients are really multi-purpose. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll cut up some of the extra veg and use that extra to prepare something else. So I cut up the veg for this beef stew, and also reserved some of the some of the diced veg for some potato salad. And that might be my last run on potato salad for the season. We'll have to see what happens. Pardon me, adjust that camera as best I can. All right, so this is also a little bit different preparation of beef stew, because I'm actually going to be using canned beef. This was a first go, and it smells wonderful. It tastes really good. It was only preserved or on the shelf for maybe 3 months, so I'm going to give that a go. And it rendered some lovely juice, which I strained off into a measuring cup, and I made up the difference of the juice or broth that I needed for the stew. I made up the difference with some beef broth. Okay, so I have this going over medium-high heat, and I'm just going to go ahead and get started on the mirepoix. Actually, it's not really a mirepoix if it has potatoes in it, but mirepoix is kind of just a fragrant bouquet of herbs. Usually, well, it's French cuisine, but it's carrots, onions, and celery, because that is really just a magical combination in so many dishes, especially the down-home cooking dishes. All right, so something I do as I go along, you know, you certainly don't want to make this salt or this soup too salty. A lot of times you really don't want to salt soup at all, and I'll leave it to each individual to add salt to their preference. But I am just in a habit of seasoning the herbs and potatoes with salt and pepper as I go. And of course the beef broth will render salt as well as the actual beef. And if you notice in here, I have also a little bay leaf. That was a ginormous bay leaf. And the instructions actually say to make sure you break it into thirds and use only a third of each leaf, because you don't want to overpower the soup or the stew with that bay leaf flavor. It's pretty strong. So I put in a couple of tablespoons of olive oil, and I've added 1.5 cups of chopped onion, 2 cups of sliced carrots, 2 cups of sliced celery, and 1 cup of diced potato. I'll just let this do its magic right there. An additional item that I add is some thawed rinsed peas. I add this at the end so they don't just turn into mush during cooking, because what I'm going to do, you know, we don't eat dinner here for a good hour and a half, and so I did this on purpose so I could let the soup slow simmer, and I just think it makes everything just nice and tender, and just deepens the flavor. You know, if you wanted to speed up this process too of sautéing the veg off, this is a way to kind of pre-cook the vegetables and help them keep their shape. You could likewise coat the vegetables in oil and seasonings and bake them off and completely bake them, and they will also hold their shape. But if you want to, a lot of people will dice their veg even smaller, and that allows it to cook faster. And you don't even need to do this sautéing step if you don't want to. You could just literally pour the broth in, the diced tomatoes, and everything else, and just let it sit. But I don't know what it's called, but a long time ago I just kind of decided or got comfortable with the fact that I tend to be a layer cook. I like to cook in the ingredients in different layers. And I don't know, my logic behind it is you can taste the layers. A lot like with music, you can hear layers in music, and it just makes it that much more fantastic. Okay, so this will just take a little bit of time. Hello, have some folks in there. Oh, well, Mike, that wasn't very polite. Please be polite in my kitchen. Justice Marlin, happy birthday. Hello. Mike, you could leave the room, please. Well, I'd say ignore that guy. Uncool. I do not have a moderator for this. It's just me, and I don't know the buttons because I've never had a rude person come into my kitchen. But I tell you what, if you were literally in my kitchen, I would have some pretty choice words for you. Be polite to my other guests. Okay. There we go. Now something else, I have the broth here reserved, and this recipe also includes a teaspoon of minced garlic. And you don't want to add minced garlic at this point because you'll burn it. If you're going to saute garlic in oil, you want to do it right at the end of when all the other veg are ready, sauteed, and you just want to lightly brown it. You don't want it to keep going because that burnt garlic flavor will pass into whatever you're cooking. So just a little bit of a tip there. Okay. Hello, Caleb. Thank you for your compliment. It looks good. And Meme Mall, no worries. Thank you for backing me up, though. Lemuel Durand, hello. This is beef stew, traditional beef stew, but made with canned beef that I canned. It was a first go at it, so we'll have to see how it goes. And oh, Rainbow Rose, hello. Thank you for the compliment, and thank you for joining me. Okay, and I might as well talk about this while it's going too. You might know if you've watched this channel before, or if you're a subscriber, I love making my own seasonings, and I do have a beef stew seasoning. And it's actually perfect timing because this recipe will use most of this, and that means it's about time to make another batch. And I will add that at the end. Yeah, we're getting there. There we go. And you know, with I don't know if this is the standard, but this is what I go for. I go to where the onion, I saute it to the point where the onion starts to become translucent. And you know, again, don't want to turn you want the potatoes to keep their shape, absolutely. So let's go ahead and add the other ingredients. We have here 2.5 cups of beef broth, plus, you know, that includes the beef from the canned beef, as well as, or the broth from the canned beef, as well as some some that I made from bouillon. And we also have 14 ounces of diced red tomatoes. And this is kind of one of the little, it's not a secret of flavor, but Worcester sauce is what is recommended in the original recipe. That's how I originally created this recipe. 4.5 teaspoons worth of Worcester sauce. But you can substitute liquid aminos for Worcester, and there are just some really good health benefits. It's exactly like soy sauce. If you have soy sauce, you could use that instead too. So I'm just going to ballpark it. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And
I used my little teeny tiny backpack.
Wonderful.
By my big backpack.
Did you? Hey, that's a good spot for it. You sure you don't want to just put it in your bag?
Yeah, I'll remember.
2 tablespoons of beef stew seasoning.
Plus, it might ruin it to have it under the big backpack, so I'll have it over. And it might ruin it if it's inside the backpack, as long as it's in the big backpack.
Oh, it looks like we have more comments. Lemuel, that's cool. You're in Washington. So am I. Cheers. I hope the weather's good where you're at. But what did we say here? Just give it 5 minutes and wait a while and it'll change. All right. Yeah, I agree. He's annoying. But at the same time, I'm just ignoring it.
Who are you talking to?
Well, there are some folks who are watching the video here, and yeah, we're just
Can I say no?
well, I think you just did. And I'm actually almost finished here. The last bit is to add the beef. You want to have 2 pounds of cooked beef. You could use beef cubes. It'll get nice. Nope. It'll get nice and tender while cooking, certainly. But what I usually do if I'm cooking the beef fresh, I will actually coat or season the beef cubes, coat it in flour, and then saute it in oil, and that helps with the shape, or keeping the shape, and it really facilitates tenderness by, searing the outside.
No, I want to see the...
Okay.
Oh,
I'll show you.
Nobody's on it.
Oh,
Unless the video was how that you went on it.
Yeah. All right.
So that's what it's like for the person who's making the video.
Yeah.
For the people that are watching it.
We're just going to let this sit. Okay, so tip, do not forget to take that bay leaf out. In fact, it might be helpful to let that come to the surface. Because that would be quite something to bite into, as you don't want to surprise any guest with that. Okay, well, it'll rise to the top eventually. So I'm going to cover this. I'm going to bring it to a boil, and then I'm going to cover it and bring it down to about medium-low to a simmer. And then in the last 10 minutes of cooking time, I'll add the peas. But I am actually going to let this simmer probably about a half hour here. And but thank you for joining me in the kitchen. Mike, take a flying leap. Goodbye. Thank you. And I appreciate everyone out. Take good care.